Like, what's your definition of sex work? Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think you're thinking like OnlyFans and stuff. Or like,
well, the definition of sex work is selling yourself, basically, to me.
It's selling a sexual product. So it's, if anyone gets like aroused off of the product, like I said, like a Victoria's Secret magazine could be sex work. Like it could be.
Sure, you're not having sex, but it's sex work. Like you're not doing the dirty, but you're technically putting yourself out there, selling your body.
I think it's more art than it is sex work.
Words have definitions. It doesn't matter what you think this word is or what we think this word is. The moment we define sex work, we will be able to understand that a lot of women fall under the definition of sex work, in which we can then say, hey, you are in fact a sex worker and you are ruining society by your work. Before we get into that, I want to go ahead and introduce my beloved friend Kyler. Thank you for being here. As always, he is ready to bring the fire. And my beloved friend, Ray.
I was forced to be here.
Yes, he was. I said, Ray, get up. Come on. We got a show to do. So, the definitions of sex work. And I don't mean that there's more than one definition, but there are various definitions. And essentially, they mean the same thing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you two really briefly. The moment we understand this, we can then say, okay, you are indeed a sex worker. No and, different buts, and it's not art. So here it is. According to the Illinois Department of Public Health.gov, now remember, this is a government saying this. It's not, we're saying it. It's not what a sex worker thing. Sex work is. No. This is straight from the government. According to Illinois Department, it says this. It simply means to utilize one's sexuality for money or non-monetary items. Non-monetary items could mean valuable possessions. But I like this definition a little bit better. This is from dictionary.com. Essentially, it says, a sex worker is someone who is trying to sexually arouse someone for money or non-monetary items. So nowhere in there did it say anything about penetration. No, absolutely not. Nowhere in there did it say that it has to be between two people in physical contact. It did not say that at all. It said it is anyone who is trying to sexually arouse someone for money or non-monetary gains. So the question is, do a lot of women fall under that category?
Most certainly. I would say most certainly. What about you, Kyler?
I think Ray done took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, a lot. I would even go so far as to say that people, women specifically, who post their photos online, and if their intention, again, we can't force them to say, okay, what's your real intention here? But we all know deep down inside that their intention is to try to arouse the person looking at their photos in order for non-monetary items such as likes, validation, compliments. It doesn't have to be penetration for you to be a sex worker. Absolutely not.
Yeah. All you Twitter girls, Instagram girls, Victoria's Secret models, of course, OnlyFans and pornography all falls under that category of sex work. And then what is the in real life kind of scenario of sex work?
Yeah, right. Kyler and I, we had some flack whenever we did an episode on the title. Check it out. Why most women are why modern day women are prostitutes. Right. Essentially, that's a real life example.
Modern day women are by definition prostitutes. That video. Go run the numbers up. Continue on that. But stripping is a form of prostitution. Right. The actual act of being a prostitute. Yeah. There are many different things. Webcam models.
Yes. And so the reason why I brought up that video, because essentially our thing was, if a woman is out there trying to intentionally arouse someone by wearing certain clothing in order for a man to come up to her and take her out to eat, non-monetary items, and for that man to go ahead and buy her clothes, non-monetary items, then she is in fact a sex worker.
Tricks.
Yeah, so lots of women who are out here with the intention of trying to sexually arouse someone for whatever, she's a sex worker. Now, I'm not saying that a woman, and we're not saying that a woman can't go out there and be attractive. 100% she can. But if her intention is to sexually arouse someone, you're a sex worker. So, no, it's not about what you think or what I think. It's about what the word means.
What the definition.
Yes.
All right. So let's go ahead and move not the goalposts, but let's go ahead and guide the conversation to how this affects women.
Right.
How does sex work kind of play into man's hands? Right.
I would say that this affects women because it puts them at perhaps one of the lowest status an individual can have. You are a sex worker, like just that in of itself should be the most craziest insult. Like, hey, you sex worker. Yeah. I mean, guys, I was gonna say, guys, instead of calling them whores, just call them sex workers. But of course, that doesn't really help anybody. But by definition, if they are acting as such, that's what they are. Okay, but to answer the question precisely, it places them out perhaps one of the lowest status a woman can acquire. She is a sex worker, meaning she plays into men's hands by simply giving what the men want. There are so many horny men out here. There are so many men who don't know how to use their testosterone or their drive. There's so many men out here who are perverse, and they want a woman to arouse them. So because of that, they go ahead and attend to these women. I'm going to use this one for my sexual gratification.
Yeah, they're commoditized, simply being used as a mere product for other people's self-gratification.
Right.
Wow. So essentially a person is being turned into a product.
Right.
Essentially. And a lot of women, because what Ariel was saying, it's not really much of an insult to call them a sex worker. A lot of them are proud of that lifestyle. A lot of them are like, yeah, this is what I do. And a lot of women think that sex work is empowering, but it is not empowering. In fact, what it is exploiting you. It is making you, as I said, turning you from a person into a mere product. So now they are not even looking at you for who you are, but now they're just looking at you for what you have to offer, which is just, they're degrading you down just to simply your body parts.
Yes, absolutely. So that's why we say, if you were to call them a sex worker, it is an insult, because by definition, you are trying to sexually arouse someone for monetary gain. So therefore, you're selling yourself as a product. That's really the whole gist of our video. By definition, sex work is supposed to be an insult. No one should aspire to be that, to sell yourself in order for men to go ahead and give you what you want. It's full of shallowness, full of depravity, meaning I'm going to go out there or I'm going to be on the internet to try to sexually arouse someone in order for them to give me something. They know nothing about me, just my body. What? But here we are in 2024 having to persuade lefties and secularists that this is perhaps not a good thing for society and especially for women.
It's really funny too, because you'll see these dating podcasts and people just talking to sex workers in general, and they wouldn't necessarily prescribe their lifestyle for other people. Why would you not want to prescribe your lifestyle to other people? Now, it's not saying that you have to follow everything by the rubric, but at least for me, and I know you guys as well, would you not want to tell people like, hey, this is the road to fulfillment? I understand that it's going to be difficult in doing this and refraining from lust and having temperance, living up to this virtuous standard. It's going to be difficult, but it's going to be fulfilling. Sex workers, a lot of them, at least from my ear, they don't want to prescribe their lifestyle to other people. I wonder why.
Right.
I wonder why. But their excuse is because it's stigmatized, and you need the mental fortitude in order to do sex, all this BS.
Right.
This business is not really for everybody.
Right.
You got to be really strong for this.
Oh my gosh.
I can get used because my mental's strong. I don't know about you.
Wow. It
Get
really
out
is
the
that.
kitchen if you can't stand the heat. Go ahead and go.
And we can touch on it really briefly, how this impacts them more than men. We've already touched it. They are at perhaps one of the lowest status a woman can succumb to. What's another reason why a woman who is a sex worker through the phone or in real life is going to damage them in the long run? I'll say mine really quickly. You won't find. It's going to be very hard for you to find love.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Well, certainly. And a little more elaboration on that is because, so of course, when we have sex, oxytocin fires in our head. It is a bonding chemical that all us humans share, but it's more apparent for women than it is men. So for us, it's more of a dopamine effect rather than women. It's more of a pair bonding. So that's why you see a lot of women who are very vulnerable after they have sexual intercourse with one another, and that filters into not being able to find a partner, just as you said, because they're all spread out towards all these men. So for all you women and some idiot men that think this is a great idea for women just because they have the freedom to do so, it's irrational.
Yep, absolutely. How does this affect women in the long run? Or not?
essentially it affects women in the long run because they're not going to be fulfilled at the end after doing all of this work and after making the money, because a lot of them get into the industry because of the fact that it's easy money to make, because there are men that are willing to trick and pay this amount of money. And that's why a lot of you men are condoning sex work, because you're horny. You just want the women to keep doing it. Baby girl, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Don't listen to shades. They trying to stop you. They trying. No, you just
come here, product.
You just like them to be naked, bro, so you can get so you can fulfill your lust that's inside of you. But speaking of fulfillment, you're not going to be fulfilled inside. That's why a lot of them are committing suicide. That's why a lot of them are feeling empty on the inside, because none of this sex work is fulfilling on the inside. It's not doing anything for their soul. But the only thing truly that is good for your soul is having a relationship with Jesus Christ. And this is what we are leading you to, is to tell you, take off the cultural dark frame. Stop being so persuaded by money and materialism. Stop being so persuaded by greed and lust and all this stuff. That is not going to fulfill you. That's not going to satisfy you. It's going to feel good in the moment, but after all of that stuff is over with, it's just going to leave you in an empty place in life. So when you hit rock bottom, when you're at your wit's end, when everything is all said and done, the only one that is going to be there to lift you up and get you out of that place is Jesus. And that is our only hope in life, and our real joy and salvation and fulfillment is in him.
So that's what we're trying to tell you now. Don't hit rock bottom. What on earth makes you think that selling yourself as a product and being used by man is going to go ahead and fulfill your soul, and then having all of this money to buy extra Gucci purses is going to go ahead and fulfill your soul? I don't understand that at all. Forget marriage, forget fulfillment, forget raising the children, sex work. What?
So I can get a nice high rise and the extra Gucci bags, so I can sit on the couch alone at night and cry to myself.
Yes. Any last words, Bishop?
I think that's it. Jesus.
Any last words?
Pass it on to you.
Jesus.
Jesus.
They're going to get pissed at that, bro. He's not real. He doesn't exist. He doesn't exist.
Shay's podcast, take off the culture dark frames, is what so many people are looking at so that you can walk and see in the light.